Hello.
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 Hello. Hello. Hello.
Oh, hello, Barney.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Bonjour.
Hi.
How you doing there? Yellow. Hello.
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 Yo.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello and warmly welcome to a $1 million question presentation from Group 3, Section B, Finance and Banking 2020 Bangladesh University of Professionals. Yeah, this presentation is all about a question which can iPhone maintain its initial momentum? I, Mohammad Farooq Hussain, along with my fellow teammate Syed Tariq Aziz Haq, Abdullah Al Mamun, Labiba Shams, Mohammad Ferdoz Rahman Shubo, Shiab Motin, try to find out the best answer for this. Let's go what we find. First, we take a look to the overview Apple launched iPhone. It was 2007. Apple Inc. announced to launch an iPhone and it starts its first journey in the same year. At the very beginning, it gained lots of response from the customer because of it has some special and updated features such as 3.5-inch high-resolution display, 2-megapixel camera, multitask screen, and so on. In continuation of this, Apple entered into European market, Germany, France, and UK. Then the bad time comes. The sales reduce due to high price and some barriers. To overcome this problem, iPhone reduced price by $100. Then, in 2008, iPhone finally came into the Asian market. That's all about my part. Now I would like to invite my next teammate, Mohammad Ferdoz Rahman Shubo, to present iPhone's success in America.
Thank you, Farooq, for explaining the summary. I will explain the success of iPhone in America. We think that the main reason behind the success of iPhone in America is innovation. In addition, their perfect understanding and application of the 7 P's of marketing model played a significant role here. With many key partners, especially with AT&T, the iPhone has struck deals to offer a distinctive phone experience to their customers. From the beginning, the company produced a high-quality product. They also recognized when the price needed to be reduced and acted accordingly. They did not settle here. They used attractive packagings and the right places to sell it. They managed to promote the product so well that the people literally idolized it. It will not sound cliche if I say their product speaks for itself. Most importantly, the iPhone could ultimately live up to the buzz and create brand loyalty in America. Now, my next group member, Mr. Shihab, will talk about the iPhone's performance in the European market. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shubo, for explaining iPhone's success in America. Now, what I'm going to focus on is iPhone's success in Europe and how and whether it was successful in its launching or not. So, iPhone first launched at Europe in 3 major countries: United Kingdom, Germany, and France. Although at its initial launch, the various researchers deemed it as successful, later on, Apple could not retain its success as far as America. In the next slide, I'm going to focus on some of the unfortunate factors for which iPhone was not as successful in Europe in comparison to America. Firstly, the supremacy of existing brands such as Nokia, HTC, and BlackBerry, as they had already formed a really competitive market for iPhone to come in. Secondly, the strict laws of the network companies of Europe, such as O2 in UK, T-Mobile in Germany, and Orange in France, in their policies concerning revenue sharing, which didn't coincide with Apple's own policies of revenue sharing. Thirdly, the lack of 3G capabilities in iPhone, which iPhone didn't have at that time, and customers were more inclined to buy phones with 3G capabilities. And fourthly, the high pricing and stringent price theories of Apple, since Apple had a lot of price cuts after its initial launch, which didn't interest the customers at that time. Lastly, the customers' preference in choosing their own favored network operator, which Apple also didn't coincide with. For all these unfortunate factors, iPhone was not actually successful in Europe in comparison to America. Now I'm going to hand over my presentation to my fellow team member, Mr. Tariq Aziz Haq. Thank you for listening.
So that was an amazing presentation from my fellow teammate Shiab Motin, and now I'm going to illustrate about the strategy and marketing plan for European market. To identify the market and where our product is about iPhone, and our pricing and placement would be based on the European market, which is UK, France, Italy. And our promotional activities would be advertisements like billboards and posters, and also influencers in specified field and social medias. And we have tried to focus on the word of mouth, and customer experience center and Apple consumer community would be a better option for that as well. And coming to the next slide, we have tried to signify the target market with our customer segmentation, where our geographic is based on the European countries, which are UK, Germany, and France, and others. And our demographic aspects are based on the age between 18 to 65 years old, who are students, working class people, and retired executives to any individuals, and people who tend to buy a phone which has a high-end functionality with a user-friendly experience, and who can trust Apple products and ask for simplistic solution can be a better fit for the product. So for acquiring customers, we have tried to focus on the ADA model, where we are focusing on the Hello ad campaign from different dialects of different countries, where they will cast the local actors who will make them understand about the arrival of the iPhone in the European countries. And after that, to make people interested about the product, we would break down the features and specifications through our showrooms to any social media posts. And people tend to buy those products who they see from their family and friends and their acquaintances. And I think customer review and promoting to mass media channels would be a great solution for making people desire for the iPhone. And when people come to buy the phone from showrooms, our sales executives and customer service should influence and approach customer to reply to their queries. And talking about the execution strategy, building awareness for people from different diversities is our first goal, to keep the iPhone apart from the price wars and giving off the premium features. This would be our unique value proposition to establish in people's mind. After that, customer reviews from the users of Apple to establish the word of mouth would be really a great promotion for people who are willing to buy iPhone. And after that, strategic partners like AT&T, Verizon, O2 can guarantee a stable connection and cost-efficient features, which would give the customers the options to choose their phone and get a great facilities. And also, Apple Customers Experience Center can also help people to learn about the products, and associates should be responsive towards any customer queries. And with this, I would like to hand over my presentation to my fellow teammate Labiba Shams to present her part.
Thank you, Tariq, for such a wonderful presentation. Now I'll be discussing whether the price cut was actually a good strategy for Apple or not. When the first iPhone dropped in June 2007, it was released in two versions, a 4GB version for $499 and an 8GB version for $599. It was an instant hit, and many people queued in front of the stores to get their hands on an iPhone. However, only after 10 weeks, Apple abruptly cut down the price of the 8GB iPhone by $200, bringing it down to $399. The 4GB model was completely discontinued, and instead, a 16GB model was introduced at $599. The main reason behind this price cut was to combat declining sales resulting from high price, lack of 3G capability, and carrier exclusivity. Critics also said that the initial high price of the iPhone was not justified, since it was double the cost incurred by the company for manufacturing the product. Whatever may be the reason, the price cut was unexpected, prompting negative reactions from industry observers. On the news, Apple's stock dropped to $136.76, then dropped another $1.75 the next day to $135.01. In just 2 days, the stock lost more than 6% of its pre-announcement value. People who had bought the iPhones at a higher price were enraged as they felt they had been cheated with. To mitigate the situation, Steve Jobs had to issue a public apology from the company's official website and offer a credit of $100 to all early customers. Moving on to the next slide. Although the price cut was met with a lot of negative feedback and stock prices dropped initially, it actually boosted sales to a great extent. The price cut was made just before the holiday season, which increased its demand exponentially and resulting in a sales surge of almost 56%. Sales did not stop even after the holiday season and continued to generate revenue for the company. Whereas the iPhone sold 270,000 units in the third quarter of June 2007, After the price cut in the third quarter of June 2008, Apple sold 717,000 units of iPhone and announced a net profit of 1.07 billion US dollars. Hence, it is very evident that the Apple's pricing policy helped it to achieve market shares, and dropping the price was indeed a good strategy. Now, I'll be passing on the floor to my fellow teammate Abdullah Al-Mamoun. Thank you.
Thank you, Labiba, for your prudent words. I am going to illustrate about the recommendations for the company Apple. The number one recommendation for Apple would be continuing its innovation. Apple, the company, is hardly introducing any breakthrough products in the recent years. In Apple Worldwide Development Conference 2019, the company just unveiled more mundane updates of its operating system for iPhones, a much more anticipated dark mode, and some new apps for the iPhones. It was like a service company rather than a tech company. Also, there are not significant upgrades to the iPhone in comparison to the competitors like Android. This situation was anticipated by the former CEO Steve Jobs. He said that Apple would be like IBM or Xerox if it got away from the innovation that made them so successful in the first place. So, continuing innovation has to be the first priority of the company. Moving to the next slide. In 2007, when the first iPhone was released, it created so much buzz that consumers were eager to purchase it. Also, the Hello ad intensified the craze. But recently, leaked information about new products are observed by the company. In 2018, the company warned its employees to stop leaking internal information. Leaked info can negatively impact sales and sales of current models, give rivals more time to compete, and lead to fewer sales. The number 3 recommendation for Apple would be the automation of manufacturing. Foxconn, a Taiwanese manufacturing giant supplying parts to iPhones, is reluctant to automate. Why? Because in labor markets like China, human workers have been more cheaper than robots. But to sustain in the market, automation is a must for production. Also, by replacing human with robot, Foxconn, the company, can avoid these issues like improving the environment, working conditions, and increasing wages. Now, let's go to the last but not the least recommendation for iPhone, that is more Apple stores. It is a surprise that in London, there are only 5 Apple stores for a population of more than 8 million. It is not just only for London or Europe. Most of the Apple stores around the world are usually overcrowded. Instead of a leisurely play with the latest tech, you have to fight your way through the crowds just to get near it. It's definitely a problem for the consumers, and that also makes it a bad problem for the Apple's long-term future. If people come into the stores and have a bad experience, that damages the brand. After all this, let's jump to the conclusion with a quote from the former CEO Steve Jobs. Design is not just what it looks like and feels like, design is how it works. With a target market of 1% share, today iPhone owns 65% in the US market and 23% all over the world. The margins may not be significant, but still Apple is the leader. Why? Because Apple exactly knows how to satisfy their consumers. They keep the things simple but improved. So on this basis, we can have a vision that iPhone would maintain its initial momentum and it can secure its purple patch. Thank you for watching our presentation.